Hi everybody. Welcome aboard this our second episode of Play It Forward. I'm so excited today to be joined by Robin Singh. Robin Singh has been a professional footballer for a large part of his life. He's played both in the I-League and for the country. But he's also someone who's also, like the work we do at Magic Bus, worked with young people through his life. And today, as we mark World Football Day, I really think it's a great opportunity for us to reflect on what football truly represents. And it's not just a game of goals and wins, but really a movement that breaks barriers and in many ways changes lives. And so we'll explore some of that today. For those that are new to Magic Bus, we are a non-profit working in India for the last 26 years. We have now nearly 3 million young people a day engaged in some form of sport, most often football. And we use that as a mechanism to re-engage young people who are living on the margins. We are anchoring Play It Forward, and every episode we'll meet someone significant from the sports world and really delve deeply into not just the sporting achievements they've had, but also some of the challenges and how they relate that to their own development through sport. So, Robin, absolutely delighted to have you as a guest on Play It Forward.
Pleasure. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you for that introduction as well. And this Magic Bus, I've already worked with them in the beginning of my career, and I think it's important to, just help in any way possible. And as you mentioned, having played in the I-League, the Indian Super League, the national team, it sort of completes my circle as well, because Magic Bus was the first organization that I worked with when I started my career as a professional footballer. So I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to help as many children as I can to play it forward or take the sport forward. And football is one of the biggest sports played in the world. And the joy that it's brought me, if I can give 0.1 or even 1% of that story to inspire, or how I like to call it, ignite a fire inside the belly of a young child to play, then I think my work is done. I'll be standing on the sidelines, being the biggest cheerleader for that young boy or girl and taking it forward for them. So hopefully we move forward and we can take this really brilliant journey, as I want to call it, and put it across to the people watching today.
When we started 26 years ago, I remember talking to a lot of people about using sport to re-engage, to really use that as to help influence behavior of young people. But I found it really difficult because very few Indians have actually played organized sport. I think the number in those days was 7%. I don't know how much it is now, but there was no sort of context to that. So just from that, with that lens, I mean, how unusual was it to sort of say to your parents, look, this is what or the community you're in, this is what I want to do now?
I think you set it up rightly so when you said that in our country, sport is something that you do on the side. It's not something that you think of playing professionally. The earlier stages of my career, there were a lot of questions and eyebrows raised towards my parents as well. That, all right, I remember one of the conversations with, I think, an uncle or an aunt, and I said I play football, and then they said, what do you do for work? And I said, I play football for work. And they were a bit shocked, or questions were raised even higher to my parents, saying, what is it? And to simply put it across, it was a sport that was growing. One of the things that I did, and I always believe in it, is the fact that it brings me joy. From the first day I kicked a ball to the last day where I professionally kicked a ball, because I still play football, it's the same thing. It's the joy that is unbelievable that football gives me. There were challenges, as I said, people not wanting to let their children get into any sport of sort and wanting them to get an educational background or an educationally inclined professional job. So I think that is changing for sure in India. A lot of parents are now believing that their child should be or could be a professional athlete, which is great to see. And it's changed over the course of time, from the belief or the support of parents to the financial support that a sport can give you now is brilliant. So I think that way our country is changing, and I'm happy to be a part of that process if I can be. And in the process, if you want to, encourage a few children, inspire a few children, then I think happy days for all of us are going forward.
Unlike most of your peers, as I said, we've already, said this must have been quite a different thing for someone. So, are there any sort of, what for you personally, growing up, were there specific challenges that you felt were different from other children, perhaps?
I think if we keep it to sport in terms of challenges, then the first one that I would say is the infrastructure that's developing now. As you mentioned, I used to live in Noida, and to be put it to for people to understand, I used to go from Noida all the way across to Gurgaon to play an hour and a half of football, just because there was no facilities involved. Sometimes even more, which was beyond Gurgaon in terms of number. To put it into context, I would travel 2 hours away to just kick a ball with my friends for 1 hour, 2 hours, and that is where the first challenge of infrastructure is developing now. I've recently went back to Delhi and Noida. There are grounds everywhere. There are academies coming up, which is great for people to now be involved with the sport and not face that challenge. The second challenge when I was growing up was the fact that a lot of people questioned, will this ever be enough? And I think God has been kind and grateful with the hard work that I put in, that it was more than enough. I am what I am today because of what football's made me. Another challenge that came up across the way was the fact that I used to play cricket in Delhi and I was playing well. Um, and as you said, is just took a ball to change the world or change the idea in young children's head. It was exactly that. From playing football on a rainy day, I was scouted by a local coach who said, I want you to play football for me. And it just made me so happy that I didn't have to think. I just went back to my parents and said, I want to play football. But even to play that football, I had to go all the way from Noida to Chandigarh. So traveling an hour and a half, turned around and made it into a 4.5, 5 hour journey to go play football and find a way to play football professionally. So I think across the first challenge would have been infrastructure. The second challenge was being told to my face that I'll never become a professional footballer. To which I think that's where the spark was ignited in me to say, well, your opinion is your opinion. Doesn't really matter to me. I booked a one-way ticket on a train to Jamshedpur all the way. My parents didn't know about it because all I had to say was, if I want to be denied and told that I'm not good enough, I want to be told by the best in the country. And at that point of time, it was Tata Football Academy um, that took me in. And this story always makes me a bit like heavy in the chest because I went there. I said, I need to please give me an opportunity to just play football. The coaches were good enough and grateful enough for me to let me train for 3 days. After which they said, we'd like you to join the academy. And that little "you're not good enough to be a footballer" turned around for me to sign for one of the biggest clubs in the country, which was East Bengal, after a 4 year training period. So the challenges will always come on your way. Different children, different aspects of life will always be a challenge. It's about believing in you, is what I feel is very important. The hunger has to always be there, and I think that the joy, why I started and why I wanted to continue it, because it made me so happy. Kicking a ball made me so happy. It's given me the best memories that I can ever take with me, uh, anywhere, anywhere but till I am alive, I'm telling you, what football has given me, it's irreplaceable.
It's such a privilege, isn't it, when you can combine purpose and joy, right? And so few people are able to find that in their whole lives, let alone at such an early age. I think, when you sort of find this fusion of both those two things, and it's almost a miracle, isn't it? You sort of feel, wow, these things have come alive, and it was almost meant to be, really. And I think it's such a wonderful thing. It's funny, you were using a story just now about a ball, and it's a story you often tell at Magic Bus when we talk to people about the football pitch or the playground being our classroom, and forever. And I've often tell audiences just to close their eyes and imagine you're in a village in UP or wherever, and you throw this ball up, and every child in that village will gravitate towards that ball, right? Because every child loves to play. And then it's the magic of that moment, right? That in a safe space, in a place which is inclusive, where, you know, such amazing things can happen through sport, as so evidently has happened in your own life, I guess. But just to reflect on some of those, some of those you spoke actually about, which must have been a tough thing, right? When someone tells you you're not going to make it, to being a professional footballer, that you don't have those skills. Just to dig a bit deeper on this, Robin. I mean, in terms of just some of those skills that you reflect on now, or in the development sector, we have this fancy word called agency skills, but these life skills, these moments where you have this, where you have to draw down on something. So I'd love to sort of hear your reflection on what that something is to make you go beyond,
I think when you obviously, no child ever, especially when you're just beginning your career, that was the first time I moved away from Noida, from my parents, because I was playing cricket. I was playing in Delhi, so I'd live at home, go to play cricket, come back home. All of a sudden, telling my parents that I want to play football in a country that is devoted to cricket is a lot of eyebrows were raised even at home, saying, "Are you sure?" But I think football runs in my family. My mom's from Calcutta. My dad's father also played football. He was the organizer for the Duran and the Subrata Cup for the armed forces till he passed away. And even when I still go to Ambedkar Stadium, they still turn around, and the older people there say, "We know you when your grandfather used to carry you and bring you to this ground, and now we know why." I think coincidentally it began from Ambedkar, if I'm not wrong. I missed the penalty for my team in Chandigarh, and I went back and I was sort of told I'll not be good enough to make it as a footballer. One thing that did teach me is believe in myself. That's the first thing. And I've stuck to this my whole career, that hard work beats talent every single day. If you have the work ethic, if you have the drive to push yourself to be better 1% or even 0.1% every single day, that's that's it. I think improving is a habit, and no matter what you do, you're going to improve if you put in good habits, be it just putting your head down and working hard, be it doing the right things on the football pitch, be it training by yourself in the gym as you keep getting older towards being a professional footballer. It's all about when the lights are not on. Let me put it that way. On Saturday, when you're playing on the football pitch for a match, the 5 days or the 6 days where everything goes in, that's I think that's where the belief has to be brought in, saying every block will build me into the beast or the machine I want to be. And I think that's very important, to just believe in the longer vision of everything that I do. If I do it honestly, it's going to work out. And I think that's been one of my pillars of strength, where no matter what's happened, I've believed in the work that I put in will pay off. If not today, if not tomorrow, it will pay off. As the cliched saying goes, before you rise up, you fall down. And I think that's very important. So you just have to keep building. Honestly, that's something that the challenges along my life taught me, that it's not going to be sunny every day, but you have to keep pushing forward. You have to keep believing in yourself, and things will work out.
And I guess you, because you've reached the space you've reached, and you're an elite athlete. At some point that's coming to an end, right? And you kind of, it's a weird thing, isn't it? Because you've got this window, and God willing, you can see that window through. But and I know I've read that you had some significant injuries, as many sportsmen do like that. And how sort of what sort of skills did you draw down on there as well? Sort of how did you it must be in many ways just it must not just be physically but also mentally very very difficult.
Yes, I think along the process, I've also learned to build my mind stronger. Um, as I keep saying, it's the 5 days or 6 days of work that go into before match day. I think when you get injured, I tore my ACL, and at that point, you genuinely think that life or your career is coming to an end, and I think that's where you push harder, and that's something that I've always done. That no matter who's in front of you, you might just be more talented than me, but you will not work harder than me. That's how I have
That's
seen
what
my
you can
career.
control, isn't it, Robin? That's what you can control. Yeah,
Control the controllables. That's the mindset.
good, great message.
I think that's honestly what I built during the injury process. Getting mentally stronger is very important. And let me just jump a little forward to every child that becomes a professional footballer. There are a lot of people who love to say things off the keyboard that don't matter to you. As long as you know that you've done the right things, you really can't make everybody happy. So just control the controllables, work the hardest that you can, and that's the mindset that I built along the process. I've been grateful enough to have help from mental conditioning coaches, which I think right now is very important in the day and age we live. But again, that comes at a later stage. The first, you have to be stronger, and it's very simple. I think it doesn't get any more simplified than this. Control what is in your hands. So if the hard work is in your hands, you control that. If going to training is in your hand, you control that. If building a good habit is in your hand, control that, because building a good habit only takes 18 days minimum, and that's not
Yeah.
a big amount of time. It's not. So that's 2 weeks of your life to achieve a goal that you want to achieve. And I think that's again, control the controllable. So mentally, just believe every day is not going to be dark. Sun rises every single day, it goes down every single day. So even if you're on a downhill, you have to rise up. That's all I believe.
What piece of advice would you give a young Robin Singh? Go back in time, and what advice would you tell him now? Maybe he's a 16-year-old boy who's about to go on the same journey. Is there something you might reflect on with him?
Don't be so hard on yourself. I think with everything that's gone down in my career, or just through the process of me playing football, one thing I have been is my biggest critique. And that's something that I'll tell the younger me, that don't be so hard on yourself. You've got it in you. Just keep going. You just enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, which is more important than being hard on yourself every single day. If I have to put building blocks or build a pyramid to become a professional, the first block that goes in is hard work. The second one, I would say, is belief. Believe in yourself and what you bring to the table, and confident. I said be confident. Don't when I said don't be too hard on myself, it's don't question. Don't question too many things, because you can only control what's in front of you. So control the outcome and not the questions that might come from somebody else, or whoever's in your whoever you meet through your journey. And I think that's some of the few things that I would tell them. Along the journey, you'll realize that not a lot of people believe in you, so you have to have belief in yourself and saying, I can make it, and that'll take you the highest. And I think be a sponge. That's also something that I have tried to instill throughout my career. You'll meet a lot of different coaches, unless you're somebody like a Stevie G who just finishes his career in one club. You'll meet a lot of different coaches through your journey. Be a sponge. Just learn as much as you can.
So Magic Bus, so we have this amazing program, which the idea is to create activities usually involving a football, and then draw out metaphors from that. So a line in the sand on one side of the the maidan, and the line on the other, and the kids run between it, dribbling a football. You put the cones in the middle. They try and dribble the ball through the cones, and then the cones, let's say, become a metaphor for the obstacles. That one line represents home, one is school. The obstacles get really difficult when you put the cones in. So what's stopping you going to school? So that would be a typical Magic Bus sort of but it's delivered and its impact comes from a girl or a boy from the same community who remains the mentor of that young person. So they literally hold that young person's hand through their adolescence. And I just, so this idea of being anchored to, to someone who can give good counsel, who's, able to, be there, that shoulder. Did you have mentors when you were growing up? And if you did, maybe just a few words about the impact they had on your life?
I think across my journey, as I said, luckily I've played for a number of clubs in India, usually following previous coaches that have been in my clubs or in my country, wherever I've played. Like I think for the Indian team, I played for 3 or 4 different coaches. Apart from that, I had a couple of coaches that I've played for at a number of clubs, and they've all taught me something different, and that's why I said be a sponge. Learn from different people through your journey. Understand how they are trying to improve you. There is, even in a negative comment, there should be a positive, and you have to find that positive. So if someone's, maybe for example, saying you're not running enough, and maybe you are, maybe you're not doing the right running in the direction where he wants you to be, so that's a positive where you can go back and look at it. So you always have to find a silver lining. Maybe that's something. Across the journey, I've been grateful to meet some amazing coaches, from the first coach at East Bengal to even Delhi Dynamos, where I got to meet one of my favorite players, Roberto Carlos. So everybody has taught me something or the other through my journey. There have been coaches who also turned around and said, again, you're not good enough. I said, okay, not for you. Watch me beat your team against you. So it's very simple. I think how I've developed my mindset is I don't take no for an answer. I just, if I fall in, I just get up harder. If my back's against the wall, then you're definitely in trouble because I'm coming after you even stronger. So I think that these are some of the things that the young generation can believe in. As you mentioned, the cones, the lines in the sand, the obstacles of home, schooling. Even when you're playing football or any other sport, your friends might be doing, something that you'd like to do, but that's a sacrifice that you got to make as a professional. That if you want to go further, some things you got to leave behind, and some things might make you happy, some things might not. But in the course of your journey and the vision that you have in front of you, which is the tunnel vision that I want to be the best at the sport I play, you'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy all of those things in due course of time. Believe me, I've played great football. I met some great mentors, great friends, great family. It all comes together.
What's your passion now? Since when that gap opened up, what did you fill it with?
I think I filled it with family, because when you say you lose a lot of things when you play football, you're traveling so much, you're with the teammates all the time, which is also your family. To be honest, the dressing room is a very sacred space for any athlete. They are with you with your highs, they are with you when you're low, but you also take a lot of time away from family. So I think right now the passion that I have is spending time with my family. I have 2 amazing young boys and a beautiful
do
wife.
you? Wonderful.
Yes,
Oh,
I
wow.
my second baby's 9 days old.
Oh, what a
So
mate.
I know. So I think that's why I said that's the first thing that comes to my head when I say what am I passionate about right now. I think just love. Um,
Yeah.
I've always done things that have given me immense joy, and seeing my family happy, be it my present or the family right with me or my parents back in Delhi. It's just about spending time with your loved ones. Apart from that passion, obviously, one of the reasons why I went into broadcast is to take the sport forward in India. At the same time, make it very simple. I will not dive deep into the details of VAR, and I'm not going to give you numbers. But if someone across the screen understands how the other team can do better in simple language. Along the course, have a laugh, which I love to do on TV as well. I think it's done. It's my job is done. My passion is to push football forward however I can, and obviously in Goa and Delhi both, I still help my friends or parents who want me to have a word with their child, to just give them that little bit of a spark to move their career forward. I'm always available. One of the reasons why I'm here is also the fact that if I may be of any help to any young boy or girl or children wanting to play any sport forward, the base is the same. The work ethic, the belief, the hunger and desire is the same.
There's a lot of wisdom. There's so much wisdom there in finding this balance, because so often, even with young people now, you go into a world where it's so structured, and you don't have time to love and to have that space, where you've obviously made sure that that is a really measured time. And Magic Bus, we have this in our vision statement actually. So it's the end of the journey for Magic Bus is getting a livelihood, because we believe that gets you out of poverty, right? So the idea is to
Yes.
to make sure that you're economically sustainable. But with that success has to come happiness.
Yeah.
So this idea that you're choosing what to do,
Yeah.
right? So it's not just about being a night watchman, if you enjoy being a night watchman, that's fabulous, right? Of course, do that. I'm not certainly would. But the idea is to make that choice and to do something that you are also passionate about, and that gives you that sense of happiness. So I think that's a lovely theme that we draw down on, I think, at Magic Bus a fair amount. Just to move on, I'm going to talk about gender and the female, the gender agenda, and that is the really difficult conversation about I guess about some of the challenges specific to women in our country.
Mm-hmm.
But also, of course, if you sort of filter that down into sport, even more difficult, right? So, we work really hard at Magic Bus to make sure that at least 50% of the 3 million people on the Broma are female, but really work very much harder for a girl to make sure that she stays in school, that she doesn't get married early, all these things, in the communities with the mentors we really focus on. And then ensure that we work double hard on making sure that she gets a job. But in sport, what do you think are some of the significant changes, or let's start with the challenges first? For being let's just even drill it down to football. I don't know how you see that playing out in the game.
I think now it's growing. The women in sport now, a lot of the ISL teams also have women's team. So that's a big change. As you said, you started 26 years ago, and you have seen the change of women now stepping out of the house, or young girls now stepping out of the house and saying, "I want to play football," which is great to see. Which means, I'm proud to say our country is developing at whatever pace it is at it is, because now the women are coming out and saying, "I have a voice. I want to play football or any other sport that might be, because I enjoy it." Which is great to see for parents as well. I think the credit, as much as we say it's the country, it has to also be to the parents who are giving that bit of confidence to their young girl and saying, "We are behind you. Go do what makes you happy." And I think that's the most important thing, that be it any child that I speak of, do what makes you happy. And parents should also understand that a happy child is a growing child. It's very important, and hopefully it can just move forward from here. The Indian Super League now has women teams. The national team is doing well. A number of the young women from the national team are now playing on international teams as well. So football for women in India is growing. And if I want to put it into context, there's a wave that's coming. Make sure you don't miss it. Make sure you're riding high on that wave. So if the women are coming out and playing football, please support your daughter and make sure that you can be proud parents for when she is playing at the highest level in our country.
As the sports minister,
Right.
what things would you legislate for?
From my journey, I would say a ground in every corner. Sport being made compulsory at school, and I think for the for the bigger cause, I would say infrastructure, building football stadiums for football to be played in every city. Apart from that, just make it free. Let's make it. Let's have some fun. Make it free for everybody. Till the lights can stay on, just make it free. And also, I think give the coaches also some help, whatever help they need to instill or teach football or take football to the corners of India. Just back them up a little, because every drop makes the sea or makes the ocean, and every drop counts. So if we want to be a sporting or a footballing superpower, we need everybody help. We need everybody's help. So be it from the parent who's thinking that whether I want my child to play, don't think, put them into sport, to the highest level with the national team coaches. If they need any infrastructural help to beat the superpowers, let's do it. 1.3 billion or more people in our country, we can be a superpower. It just needs to be streamlined. So I think
I mean, and
sport in every
that's so it is,
sport in
Robin,
every
because
corner, for sure.
we have such a. I mean, the potential playing base is so enormous, isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
in the world, right? So it really feels like we're so nearly there, aren't we?
Yeah. I think the nearly there has to change. That's why when I said we need a ground in every country, it's every corner of the country. It's important because you need to make it accessible. Just the way, you know, I think there are so many parks in a community that are meant for walking. That's all right. Walk on the outside. Let the children play in the middle. Let's just make football or sport accessible to every community, every corner. And I am sure for the fact that we can become a superpower. Let's take it one step at a time. Let's conquer Asia, and then let's conquer the world. Why not? Why not? If someone can give me, we cannot do it, I'm sure I can tell them how we can.
When we were trying to get young girls into our program in Dharavi, and it was really hard, right? Because the mothers didn't want to come out in their shorts, and this is 25 years ago.
Yes.
So we started a football tournament for the mothers. We said, okay, we'll just focus on the mothers, change their attitudes. And they obviously loved it, they saw it, they understood. But then the grandmothers
Right.
said, well, we never got to play football. We love this idea.
Yeah.
We said, okay, we'll start a league for the grandmothers, but the granddaughter has to be the coach of your team. So we started this amazing football league in Dharavi of grandmothers, mothers, all women, thousands of them playing.
That's a brilliant story, to be honest. My mother is the nicest person around. But once the whistle goes and I'm playing, please close your ears. You do not want to hear what she has to say. Please just don't. I have to turn around and maybe look outside and say, Mom, please don't do it. Please don't do it. So I can imagine the mothers and the daughters and the grandmothers all being involved. It's 100% unbelievable, I'm sure.
And just two other absurd things that are happening, and these aren't necessarily long stories, but we have, when you sort of, our view is that any sport goes, right? Because it's really about the activity, the participation, the inclusion. Yes. In the next door community, we have now 3,000 or 4,000 people playing tennis. They've made their own tennis games. They've cleaned out the garbage, and now they've got these mini tennis courts, and they're all. So the point is, it's all possible, and I think and I hope these young girls in these programs are going to experience just 50% of some of the things that you've gained from sport in this conversation. But I want to thank
sport is a great equalizer, is what I want to say. It builds communities, and it makes the playing field equal, be it at gender, be it at race, be it at community. It's all a flat playing field, and that's very important. I think the way how our country is so diverse, being from from the income levels to the poverty line to the caste system to whatever you want to call it, it's football. In my opinion, football just equalizes everything. It's and that goes across, I think, if I may say so, for every sport. It just equalizes and nullifies every barrier or every bridge or a gap that you can think of. It just flattens the whole line out.
Like nothing else, really, Robin, isn't it? Like nothing else. I mean, because in the way that so many people can participate. You can have the poorest kids in the world playing against the wealthiest kids in the world, and for that 45 minutes, no one really cares, right? They're just,
No.
It's about the game.
No, and they could be becoming the best of friends. That's the beauty of sport. It just throws every notion out of the window. It just makes you trust the person next to you. So it sort of, in a community, it builds that sense of bonding as well. And I think that's very important, to sometimes share responsibility, because as much as every drop fills the ocean, it's not just one drop that fills the ocean. It's everybody's combined effort. So I think whoever you are, if you're on that pitch and he's a teammate next to you, you will fight for him, no matter what it happens.
This sense of teamwork, this whole idea of being shoulder to shoulder in this objective, right, to get to where you need to get to as a team.
Yes, it builds trust. It builds you trust. It builds you the ethic of teamwork. It builds you ethic of responsibilities. It gives you so much joy. And I know I keep repeating this, but for me, that is the biggest thing. Enjoy what you do. That's so important, and especially in our day and age right now, to find a moment of happiness. And if a sport can give you that happiness, just go out there and do it. And along the course of the way, if you can earn money from it, nothing like it.
The time has come to an end, but are there any final remarks you'd like to make, just about career, or about sort of some of your dreams or aspirations that you feel now? Or,
if I firstly, again, I have to say that Magic Bus is doing a commendable job by getting such people from every sort of the community, getting them together through sport. And I'll put my hand out here saying, if you ever need my help, I'm always around the corner. Please feel free to get me involved. Secondly, as an aspiration, I would say that I want to see the country play in the World Cups. Let's conquer Asia first, and at the World Cups after. And if you can play your hand, this goes out to all the children watching. If you can play your part in taking us to the World Cup, make sure you do, because I will be in those stands or at home, being the loudest and the proudest cheerleader that you can imagine. For in terms of what you can do, I think hard work beats everything and anything. So make sure you're working hard. Make sure the belief is high. Make sure you enjoy the process. Don't be hard on yourself. Control the controllables and just enjoy the process. It's a beautiful journey if you decide to take it.
Just fantastic. Robin, what a pleasure. What a fantastic, I don't think I say young man because I'm quite a lot older than you now, but what a fantastic, really, we're going to enjoy sharing this. And I've really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time as well, Matthew.